been notorious as one of British pop's leading bands. In fact, the 1986 recording of Notorious was their biggest album to date.
That was where I think we really got into funky music, really. And that was it was such a great team, you know, Duran Duran with Nile Rodgers. It really worked, and for us it was very successful.
For 10 years now, Duran Duran has been very successful. They've sold 18 million albums, and to commemorate their decade of musical triumph, Duran Duran recently released Decade, an album of their greatest hits.
We've tended to, over the years, get to like the same songs, I think. Well, over the years, the ones which are good songs have kind of risen to the top of the pile. And it was quite a natural choice, really.
What has the 80s represented for you, and where do you envision the 90s going, musically speaking?
I don't really see chunks of 10 years as being a natural kind of packet that you can sort of sew up and go, well, that was that decade. Things move. I mean, I think that a lot of the 70s were in the 80s, and I think that a lot of the 80s will carry through into the 90s.
In the beginning of Duran Duran's climb to the top of the charts, their musical style was labeled futurist, with their first British single, Planet Earth.
Alongside said song.
Yeah, I think it was definitely Duran Duran sort of expedition into the jungle of the mind as much as the world.
Aside from pop, rock, and house music, Duran Duran journeyed to the consciousness of world hunger with Do They Know It's Christmas?
There's no world outside your window, and it's a world of dread and fear.
And later, the group took off in a new direction entirely, with recording the theme to the James Bond movie, A View to a Kill. But presently, Duran Duran is in the studio recording their next album, scheduled for a spring release.
We'd been on tour for about 7 months, and there was an enormous amount of pent-up energy, and it was the first time that we'd really come off the road. The locomotive that is the touring rock and roll group just went straight into a studio and just made new music.
And will Duran Duran tour after completing their 1990 album?
We've always toured. There's never been a record we've come up with we haven't toured. And it's time to think, to see if there's another way of doing it, because it could get very boring if that's all we ever do.